Hey folks, welcome to another episode here on the Mr. Analyst channel. My name is Leighton Levy. Thanks again for joining us. If you have not already done so, I urge you to subscribe to the channel, like and share our content. Now tonight, we're talking to, this is the second in the series. I remember I told you we were doing this series with the top 5 schools at Champs 2025. We did Jamaica College last week, and now we're going to be doing Excelsior and their coach, David Riley, who was recently appointed to let me get it right, the coaches commission of the World Athletics Coaches Commission. Want to make sure I got that right. Appointed by the World Athletics Council. So congratulations, David. Thanks for joining us. And before I do anything else, let me say congratulations to Excelsior for winning Manning Cup title for the first time in 21 years, I think it is. And of course, going on to win the Olivier Shield as well. What a lot of people don't know is my mother was a student at Excelsior way back in the 1950s. So
From good
Excelsior
start.
was just, yeah, very good. Very good stuff. So let's start with the outlook for 2026 for Champs. But before we do that, David, I want to talk a little bit about Sebastian Coe's visit. He was recently on the island, and Excelsior was one of 2 schools he visited, Excelsior High School and, of course, Jamaica College. Tell me a little bit about what that experience was like. What it was like for the coaches, for the student athletes to have the president of World Athletics visiting the institution.
Well, it was good. You may or may not know that in 2002, when the World Under-20 was staged in Kingston, Excelsior High School was the location for the hammer throw competition.
Okay,
So
cool.
Excelsior actually is the only school in Jamaica that has hosted a global tournament. And so his visit was not surprising, and in context of what has happened before, very timely. And the student population was very excited, the administration was excited, and the athletes were very much into it. It was a big moment.
If you could, can you share what some of those conversations were like? Because, I mean, the big man rolls into a high school in Jamaica, albeit, Jamaica is known for its track and field traditions. And of course, Excelsior High School does have its own legacy as well. Can you share what some of those conversations might have sounded like for the broader public to have an understanding of what that visit was about?
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised that as he met with the various training groups, because we were actually in training, and so he met with the various training groups, he would have been so keen on the middle and long distance team. Not surprising, of course.
Just for clarity, David, let me interrupt for a second. A lot of people watching, especially if you're a younger viewer, Sebastian Coe was an Olympic champion and former world record holder for the 800 meters. In fact, there was a period when he and Steve Ovett seemed to be trading world records like week after week. It was a crazy period just back in the 1980s where the 800 was one of the premier, and it still is one of the premier events of track and field.
Right. So he was very, very much in tune with that group. Spent, I think, maybe the most time with those athletes, just interacting with them, asking them about their training, and just having the experience. I mean, Excelsior, is a core team, so you have both male and females there, so you get a different kind of feel in terms of what the prospects are. Moving to the various areas, so the jumps, the throws, the sprints. You might have seen some of the pictures from that sprint session that they were doing. I mean, we have a 9-lane grass track. So of course, it's the only 9-lane track in Jamaica, and it's 400 meters. So it would have also been part of what he wanted to experience as well. Most of our training in Jamaica takes place on grass, and so that is part of the developmental, I would say, the cheat code, so to speak, for us in terms of our own prowess that we see at a global level. So it was good in terms of how he interacted. He spent an hour with us, just really interacting with the coaches and the team management and the athletes.
Okay, so let's move on now. Champs, 78 points for Excelsior's boys last year, finishing 5th, of course. The big surprise was Kishan Hoffman, who won the 400-meter hurdles in an impressive 47. No, what am I talking about? The 400 meters. Was it class two or class
400
one?
meter
I'll get,
hurdles.
yeah, the hurdles, right. Um, l- Looking at last year, did the team meet expectations or did they fall short of expectations? And in that context, what are you looking for in terms of the outlook for Champs 2026?
Well, Lynn, for me, I am an individual who works a lot with data, and I use a spreadsheet and I use it very well. And so I actually didn't see the need to push our athletes anymore because we would have finished in the top five, and
Mhm.
pushing them to try and finish fourth again would have been unnecessary. So I thought top five would have been a good way for us to end the championship, having finished fourth the year before. So that's how I approach the championships. I don't
Mhm.
make unnecessary requests of my athletes, and so we didn't really push our athletes and enter them in the various events, and we didn't participate to maximize. We wanted to just finish in the top five, and so we did what was enough to finish in the top five. So our performance can only be interpreted from our standpoint. We did meet our goals in just finishing in the top five. We weren't trying to get any higher than that and score any
Mhm.
more points. So the number of points we scored, it's kind of not really what we were looking at. We knew what we needed to do to finish in the top five, and that's exactly what we did.
Mhm. So pretty much the team met your expectations and in terms of
Yeah, 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 yeah.
what they, yeah. But so top five, but in terms of points, was you said it yourself. You use a spreadsheet and use it very effectively. Was the point study what you had envisioned or calculated in terms of what was
Well, we
possible?
knew we knew what the possible teams were.
Mm,
Really, we don't care who wins and who comes second, but the top three teams remain the top three teams for the last couple of seasons. And then you have the second batch of people. You have the Jago, the Excelsior, and the Stets, and so on. And we knew that we would have to really push to beat Jago, and it was not necessary. But in terms of the teams that could displace us from the top five, we knew how many points we needed to score, and that was how we approach the championships.
okay. So outlook for 2026. We mentioned Hoffman, of course. There's Ryan Campbell. I'm just bringing up some names from last year. People who were actually in finals and actually were among the medals. Michael Graham, you know, Gregory McFarlane. Give me a sense of what your team will look like this year to champs. And will it be the same expectations? Will it be a year when you be pushing your athletes as opposed to last year when you said you weren't pushing them?
Well, we'll make a decision later on in the season as to whether we'll push or not, because it's a competition and it's in the context of who the other players are. Um, what are the strengths of the other teams? We don't downplay the strengths of any team, and we're very realistic in terms of what the prospects are, and we give kudos to those who are actually doing very well. So we have a very realistic outlook. Um, of our chances. So we'll make that assessment later. We've only got 1 week of competition.
Hmm.
A lot of athletes have not yet, you know, opened their season or even competed in their preferred event. So it's still early days to assess. We know what we can do. We do have a team with 7 national representatives. It's a very strong team. But how those athletes are deployed for the Eagles will depend on what the general lay of the land is in terms of the competitiveness across the various events.
Yeah, what areas do you think are the areas that you will rely on for points at champs this year? Will it be the field events? Will it be just Jago has been traditionally strong in the relays, the hurdles as well. Give me a sense of where should the fans look for points for. I mean, you're an Excelsior fan in the stands. You're expecting things from your team. What area should they be expecting to look for points for Excelsior for 2026?
Well, we've been developing not just the size of the team, but we've also been developing the quality of our athletes, especially in the hurdle events. So we've been doing very well in the hurdle events, having won the class one 400 meter hurdles back to back. the hurdles is one area. We don't approach hurdles like how other persons do and think hurdles is so uncertain. No, it's not. The athletes train to clear the hurdles. And so they go to
Mhm.
competition with the intention of clearing the hurdles. So you do in competition what you practice. So we have no fear of hurdles. We count our hurdle points as we count any other event points.
Mhm.
And we do have, as I said, a bigger team. So our relay depth is also of note. We have quite a bit of sprinters, as you know. Our
Mhm.
athletes won the under 20 and the under 18 sprint titles at the 2025 national championships. So those athletes are back in our squad, and we hope to display our strength in the sprints, which is a relatively new era for us. We have not been having that kind of quality. It's taken us a while to develop these athletes, and hopefully that would lead to more um, persons with prospects choosing to join our team and be an Eagle.
Well, no one can complain about that. Everybody wants to get some of the best athletes out there and have them be
Right.
competitive for the respective schools. What I wanted to ask you, Divine, was something that was interesting, and it's an observation I've made over the years. If I'm wrong, tell me. It seems to me that Excelsior is one of those schools who are not hell bent on winning champs, but in terms of generating, you know, unearthing quality talent and honing that talent towards greater heights, regardless of wherever that talent takes them. I mean, look at Akira Nugent, for example, and there
Mhm.
are other talents. But give me a sense of what the culture is at Excelsior in terms of preparing athletes for champs, for Carifta, for the regional competitions that these kids usually compete in.
Well, I must tell you, we do have a national focus for obvious reasons. I mean, I happen to be the under 20 technical leader, so I couldn't be having my athletes spent and not be available for national duties. So we do have a national focus in terms of preparing our athletes for that. But in addition,
Mhm.
Excelsior, we really want our fans to walk in the stadium bold in their Excelsior gear and cheer and lose their voice, and nobody can tell them to shut up. Just Excelsior fans being able to make noise for their school and feel like they've accomplished something, and that's the experience that we're also trying to accomplish. That our fans feel like they have a right to be in the stadium in the midst of all the other colors, to be bold in wearing their colors and know that they're walking away with some of the spoils and making upsets and causing people to rethink what their plans are and their prospects are, because we are there, and really just taking the competition to them and make it more exciting. I think when we show up and we're in good shape, it makes a more interesting spectacle, and we play our part. We're adding to the excitement, and many of the races are hot because we're there. It's not just it's not just because the recent traditions, because Excelsior was a power back in the 60s. And we're just getting back to that era where we're going out there and doing exceptionally well.
Tell me something. I mentioned Akira Nugent recently. Correct me if I'm wrong, but late last year, did she make a visit to the school and talk to some of the athletes?
No, she normally visits. She
Mhm.
normally visits and have sessions with the girls and so on, and she still plays a part in the program there. So she does what she can and help out with the program.
Tell me about her impact, especially since she's gone away and done well at the NCAA level, winning her title in her last season at Arkansas, and has represented well at national level while still falling short of her own expectations. Give me a sense of what it is that her visits, involvement in Excelsior, the impact it has on especially the girls.
Well, her impact is real because Akira was a regular person that came through the program, and so her progress and success gives the athletes a lot of hope. that you too can become a star. It's the same track that she trained on, the same gym, the same environment that she was developed. So it means that you too can be developed. So a lot of the athletes take that and know that the quest that they're on is realistic. It's not a pie in the sky kind of path that they're on, but it's something that can be real for them. And so it really brings that to the fore in a real life person that they could interact with a superstar, if you want to say. And so she does make an impact.
My final question to you is I asked you this at the top, but I'm going to ask you again in a different way. Is top five still the objective, or is it going to be aiming for higher this season at Champs?
We're aiming for higher. There's no question about that. We as I said, we have 7 national representatives, and a team like that should be able to do some damage. And we're going out there to really maximize. And for us, we also have to manage the athletes in a way that will allow us to compete at Champs. So our strategy might be a little different from others. We recognize that we need to compete to sharpen, as well as to get feedback as to how well the athletes are acquiring the skills that we need from them. And so we'll be competing. We don't hide. We don't dodge. We use competition to gauge where we're at. And so we'll be competing, and the athletes will come back knowing where they are relative to what they've been doing in training, and we'll be there. We are aiming. We're aiming for higher than top five.
And in that vein, do you envisage Excelsior contending to win the title next 5 years, or is that something that is still in the process of evolution in terms of the thinking of what is possible?
Well, pushing for the champs title is not going to be a goal of David Riley. I don't need to do that. However, I'm a resource within the school community, and if the school wants to win, then I'll tell them exactly what they need to do to win. We have done it before. We know exactly what needs to be done. We understand the space that we're in and the rules. It can be done. Just somebody needs to push the button, activate it, and then it will be done. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
I don't, I don't, but I like the way you answered that. That was very diplomatic. But of course, that's the reason why you're David Riley. David, thanks for joining us. Of course, remember to subscribe to the channel, like and share our content. And be back with hopefully a girls' school next week. We're working on that as we speak. We're just trying to pin down some dates and to try to make that happen, because we've done the boys so far. I want to hear from some of the girls as well. The challenge is, however, that some of the schools out in the country might still be having connectivity issues because of the hurricane. So, we keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully that will happen soon. Until next time, this is Leighton Levy saying goodbye, and see you next
And Leighton,
on
I want to
Mr.
actually, I want to actually tell you good job, and wish you all the best with this project.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. We're trying our best to bring information. I don't do the hype thing and the thing for clicks. I try to put context to every conversation. So thank you for that. Yeah, we really appreciate it.